Well, hello! I'd like to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. And toward the end, I have possibly a new member of the family to show you. So, let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And I would invite you to comment down below. What do you think of the pens I have this week? Or I'm going to show you something new I'm beta testing. I called it a member of the family a minute ago, and I realized after I said that, oh, this is why I should script these instead of just going off an outline. But well, it's not too late now, but we're just going to leave it in. So, let's dive into the pens. So what I have this week, I have a Kaweco 37/37G, a Kaweco V16, which is a recent first impression, a Lamy 2000, which is just about out of ink. A little story about that coming. I have a Moonman M6. I have an Ooly, which is actually a decent writer, just, not my most exciting, but running the Lamy 2000 dry might help me switch over to this one for a while. Parker 45, which is getting towards empty. And then the last three, I, for some reason, took it into my head to ink up tonight. Platinum President. Not the Senator President. I don't want any more FBI visits, so I'm going to wait till all that excitement dies down before the Senator President comes out to play again with its Ukrainian writing. I'm sorry, I just drew a total blank. Sailor 1911 Standard with the Fresca finish. And a Toes Penkala Mirna, which hasn't been out to play in a while. And weirdly, to my eyes under this light, it looks really brown. As always, I'll be doing my writing sample in this Bomo Art Journal. I had a request last week to have some yellow inks, and then I used one this week when I reviewed this pen, and I got comments of, oh, I hate yellow inks. So, you never can win. But anyway, this first pen was this week's review. It is fairly straightforward Kaweco 37/37G. One of those black European pens. It's not like the V nibs. This just has a regular nib, but what a nib it is. Just a very nice, reliable piston filler. And this pen is an extra fine nib. Can you believe it? It does quite a... Look at this bookmark out of the way. It does quite a tremendous amount of line variation, I think. And the ink in it is Rohrer and Klingner. Helianthus. I get the reason why some people don't like yellow inks. One person in the comments reflected that it's probably only good as a highlighter. A lot of them are a bit too pale to really be usable or functional. I think this one is just dark enough to be functional. And of course some of the golden browns are pretty good too. My next pen, which I'm surprised I haven't used a lot, is my Kaweco V16. It's a sport. I don't usually post my pens, but this one gets posted. Also with an extra fine nib. I don't think I really showed that nib off there. The ink in it is Callifolio, which, if you've been following this channel, is a brand of ink that shows up surprisingly often. I'm not real sure where my interest in them came from, but I've sure got a lot of their ink. They're supposed to be a fairly vintage-friendly ink. Maybe that's where the interest came from, because the large number of vintage pens that get reviewed on this channel. When I look at viewing numbers, because I do, it's usually my modern pens that get all the views, but aside from this show, of course. But I really get a kick out of these vintage pens, so I guess the viewing numbers be darned. Lamy 2000, see there's a modern pen. I did something goofy with the light tonight, I'm not sure what, but I can't hold these pens flat tonight. Oh, maybe if I flip my screen down. I mean, not that it makes a difference to you. Yeah, okay, when I flip my screen down, it looks a lot better. So I think the problem was more the light shining across my screen. Okay, Lamy 2000, anyway. Getting close to empty. I'm going to give it its Christmas cleaning. I experimented a bit the last few weeks with different pens as daily writers, and the truth is, some of them are very good daily writers. So, the thought has crossed my mind, maybe mix it up a little, maybe switch between black and blue, something. I think enough. There are too many pens not getting a fair shake. This ink, of course, gets way overused because I've got so flippin' much of it. I mean, it's a good black. Back a few years ago, I did a video on black inks, and I think this was one of the front runners. Lamy Black ended up winning, but this one was close. Why not Parker Quink Black? I don't know, I really couldn't tell you. And then we come to the first impression. I'm confused. I know I don't remember. I've got when I filmed it and when I uploaded it sort of mixed in my head. Anyway, Moonman M6, a wood pen. Not the ebonite. I bought it because it kind of was reminiscent of an ebonite Sailor King of pen, which is a pen that I'm attracted to, but not attracted to enough to actually buy one. But one of the things that struck me was how tight this was. It's still on the tight side. And I don't know, North Dakota does not, at least the part where I live, doesn't have a whole lot of humidity. We're a few inches short of being a desert here. And it's winter, so it's even drier. The nib, some people mentioned that looked kind of like a Monteverde mountain. I was going to get out a Monteverde pen. Oh, what the heck? I can edit it out. I'm going to go get a Monteverde pen. If this is a live stream, I just walked off the set for way too long. But it's not a live stream. I can do this. So it's described as a cross between a Conklin nib, because of the smile, and a Monteverde nib. Now, my Monteverde pen is a Monteverde Regatta Sport, which has a Flex Conklin nib in it. But luckily, I opened up the pen before I walked out here. I'm not impressed with that Flex Conklin nib, just so you know. Here's the nib that actually came with the pen. Different. Now let's open this up again. Different come on, focus. There we go. A little bit different design on the mountain range. So anyway, I don't know if there's anything to it. This person was asking if maybe they made nibs for Jaffa, which is who owns Conklin and Monteverde. I don't know. I kind of think it might be a Yovo nib, but I don't have any reason to say that. I'm just spouting off in pure ignorance. But anyway, what I wanted to mention, because it's so tight, somebody suggested putting silicone grease on the threads, and I just thought, ooh, no. But then I thought, what if I put candle wax on instead? Which has helped a bit. I know they're just tight. I'll be curious to see what this pen does in the summer. You know, it comes from a very humid country to a place like North Dakota. So it could be an issue. I have no idea. One issue that has come up since I filmed my first impressions, see, that's the problem with first impressions. You don't know. This cap does not hold a seal well. When I started writing with this pen this morning, I'll bet that ink is still wet. And part of it is, of course, I'm using a Noodler's Apache Sunset, which tends to act that way after it dries out a little, which sounds counterintuitive until you think about the chemistry of ink. But wouldn't happen in, say, my Kaweco. It only happens in pens that don't have the greatest seal. And that's a thing that I heard a lot in the comments, is that the nib tends to dry out. So, you know, the Noodlers tends to become kind of gummy. Other inks, I suppose, get hard starting or whatever. I'll find out. I'm going to try other inks in it. I like the looks of the pen. I'm just not super thrilled with the cap yet. And the writing experience, people said, was very wet. I don't have enough Moonman experience to tell. I just don't know. Ooly, from my Science Olympiad students last year. I'm just using the included cartridge. Black. I see a red door. I want it painted black. I don't know if kids don't listen to classic rock as much anymore or what, but when I started teaching, I'd do something like that, and at least I'd get pity laughter at my feeble attempt at a joke. Now they're just staring at me going, "What are you talking about?" Maybe it's a sign I'm getting older. I mean, I think I still look like I'm in high school, but I am 44. Parker 45. Not the fake Pevdy, but a real Parker 45. With an extra fine nib. When I inked this up weeks ago, see, this takes a long time to go through the ink because it's an extra fine nib. When I inked this up weeks ago, that violet came out all kinds of awful because my bad pen hygiene. But as you can see now, the Pelikan violet looks pretty good. Very nice color, especially if you get it in a good nib that'll show off a little shading. And cheap. You know, it's a very low-cost ink. I know some people describe Pelikan inks as on the dry side. And I think that's actually a good thing, depending on the type of paper you're using. But I think that looks nice. And then these last three pens I inked up tonight, just special. I was going to run down my number of inked pens, because I always do that this time of year. Get every single pen cleaned out, every single pen back in the case, and start fresh. I don't know. I just was thinking, oh, 6 pens in use, especially after 2 weeks in a row skipping it thanks to laryngitis. I felt a little guilty. And, it doesn't take much to tempt me to ink up a pen because I like having a big variety of pens. In fact, I'm looking at the inks already on the page and the inks yet to come, and I'm thinking, doggone, I need a green, and there's no green this week. So I may ink up another pen after I close out this video, put some kind of green in it. So you'll find out next week. So one of my superstars of the collection, and such an underrated pen, you don't hear much about it. The Platinum President. And you can get a Platinum Izumo with a much fancier dress, but the same nib on it. Tempted by one. If I do any top 10 videos, one of the videos I did last year was aspirational pens, and Izumo was on that list. So this is a broad with a cursive italic nib in it. And the ink is Stipula Saffron. And I'm guessing this is the Italian spelling for saffron. I was going to look that up because I have been told, I think every time I've used this ink, I've been told I'm spelling saffron wrong. So my guess is that's the Italian spelling. But this broad cursive italic nib is just a lot of fun. See, very broad strokes that way. Very narrow that way. In fact, I've already decided if I get a Platinum Izumo at some point, I want one with the coarse nib, which is a double broad, and I want the same grind on it. Cursive italic. I just love this pen. Not a daily writer pen by any means, but fun. Now this is a Sailor 1911 standard. It has the Fresca finish, which I don't remember why it's special. I know the advertising worked on me because it was photographed with all kinds of citrus fruit and just this cool blue with all the citrus and just like, wow. And, I love this pen when I put a citrusy colored ink in it. But this time I put a blue in it. This has one of those zoom nibs, which means the angle will change how broad the writing is. So if I lay it down, see it's very broad. If I go more upright, see it's very fine. I think this is just an interesting nib. Sailor, I'm going to get in trouble no matter what I say about Sailor, because Sailor has a lot of dedicated fans. Sailor has some very interesting nibs. I will admit their pen designs, they're okay. Just nothing super exciting, but boy, they have some interesting nibs. I'd love to try a few of them. I bought a music nib. Was it this summer? Then they have those nibs where it's like 2 or 3 nibs welded together. I don't know that I want to own something like that, but I'd sure love to try it. My final pen was a little bit of a struggle when I filmed its original first impression, and that's why, one of the limitations of first impression, you saw that also here with which pen? The Moonman. You don't have your full information when you do your first impression. And I complained about it not being very easy to write with. And what do I have in it? One of those Kyoto tag inks, anyway. And then I tried it again with Bungle Box Sweet Potato Purple. Night and day difference. So I've written, since I filled it this evening, I've written just down the name of the ink and the pen and stuff in my notebook where I keep track of that sort of thing. So I'm curious. Oh, yeah. So that Kyoto tagging that I had in it when I did the first impression, I think was the whole problem. That ink performs well in the right pen. This just apparently was not the right pen for that ink. And this ink, every time I use it, somebody says, you sure it's not that tremendous? Because Rohrer and Klingner don't make an Aubergine. Aubergine? I actually like Rohrer and Klingner's Aubergine a little bit better than the Diatramentus. Don't tell the Diatramentus people. But Diatramentus inks tend to, I don't know, they feather or something. They just have a different sort of feel on the paper than other inks. But just so those naysayers know, limited edition 2018 Aubergine. So I win. Or I printed that label on a printer right before filming this. You'll never know. So now I'm going to take you to my laptop. So it's no secret that I use Evernote as a big part of this channel. In fact, Evernote's a really important part of my workflow in general, way outside the channel. What you see here are tonight's notes for pens in use. And, I will shortly add a link down here where you probably can't tell where I'm at for high resolution photos visit, because all I have to do is click share. Shareable link on. Anyone with the link can view. And I pop a link in there. Now, I'm not going to use that link for reasons you're about to see. Because I had the idea, why not share an entire notebook? Now, my show notes notebook, I have to be careful because I've popped research in there and things. Research and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's just not set up or tagged properly. So I decided, no. So I created a new notebook called Wasky Squirrel for the channel. And you can see it here. Only 6 notebooks in it right now. I'm going to add the pens in use to it. But I made sure I put the video links in it. And I'm going to do some kind of an index, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. But if I share a whole notebook, this is what it looks like once I go to the right program. So bring up Safari. So you go to the link, which is in the video description if you want to see it. And it'll give you these options about joining the notebook. So if you have Evernote, you could join the notebook. You don't get to edit it. Only I can do that. I have to invite you specifically if you want to edit. But, you could have it as part of your Evernote, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing. Or, like what normal people would do, just view notebook. And then you have, right now, only 6 videos, soon to be 7. And we can sort them. But I'll just give you a quick look. I've got the Aromatic I reviewed recently. Here's the link to the video, the thumbnail, my video description. And why don't I see the pictures? Well, this is failing. Let's see the Atlatus. Okay, the Atlatus is working. Why isn't my Aromatic working? Alright, so I'm going to have to go back and fix the Aromatic. But anywho, that was a fail. The moral of the story is the pictures are there. The video description, all the links. But I could search things. Like, okay, all but one of these pens are German. Well, we'll just search German. There's all my German pens. What about my Chinese pens? Oh, see? I can also search. Maybe I want to find out what's in my pens and uses. How many times have I done a video on the Kaweco V101? Because I know that's in the last pens in use. Oh, look, there's an incidence of it in pens in use. And it also noticed the word Kaweco. But the important thing is, maybe I could collect. If I just want to find all the pens and uses that use the Kaweco V101. And of course, my pens and uses always link back to the original, pen. So this is something I'm working on. It's going to be a work in progress. I have several hundred reviews. Now, the older ones, I don't have Evernote pages because I used to keep all my notes on paper. So for them, it's pretty much going to be a matter of making a page here and tagging it and calling it good. But my newer reviews will have to put on here. But I'm just curious to know what you think. Let's clear the search before I go back to the regular video here. Because I want to show you a few view options. Because I can sort by date created. Probably not real meaningful, especially since I'm going to probably create the older ones later. Date updated. Probably not super useful for this. But I thought title. If I give them consistent titles, there's all my first impressions. All my pens and uses would be together. Admittedly, I'd have to use a different name structure for the date. Like I'd probably have to put year _ number of the month _ date. And then all my reviews together. Title, descending. If you like a list view better, you could get a list view. I could even eventually, when all these are here, I could search out vintage German. Okay, they're all vintage German. Let's go vintage Chinese since it's not vintage. Ha! Moonman is not vintage. So there'd be a lot of possibility here, especially if I do a good job tagging. So I just want to know what you think. I am already paying for Evernote. Okay, I long ago created a website here at squirrelscience.net. I abandoned it in 2017. It was just too much work. Because what I would have to do, I'd put the video link and everything in it. But then I basically would write, although I guess not for that one, but then I would write a whole article about the pen. Yeah, here we go. And you can see I was getting tired of it because I quit doing it. But here on this TWSBI, or, here's a good one, the Centro Pen. I went all out with this one. I included a gallery of photographs. It's just so much easier in Evernote. And it's much more searchable. So anyway, I abandoned this. I'm thinking about dropping the URL and everything, but who knows. But in the meantime, let me know what you think down in the comments about using Evernote and creating a web page that way. So I hope that was interesting. And, I mentioned it in my review earlier this week, but since this is a chatty sort of a show, I put up some Twinkle Lights because I saw a video explaining how they work. So the physicist in me said, yes! And before I knew it, I had a box of Twinkle Lights. I'm not a Christmas decorator. There's nothing Christmassy in my house, but I like them. So I think they'll be staying up long post-Christmas. I think they're more fun than that tiny little string of LEDs that I had up before. These are not LEDs. These are more old-fashioned technology that works. It's analog. There's no computer running this. There's no program randomizing anything. This runs entirely by fuses being blown and lights shorting out. And the fuses blow by getting overheated. And it is just such a neat random effect. The whole set of lights kind of gets brighter and dimmer. In fact, I'm going to put a link. I put it in that original video, and I probably shouldn't have because it was a distraction. But I'm going to put a link to that video in the video description here where this guy talks about the technical aspects of it. I'm thinking I might do a little blurb about it. I'm waiting until Christmas break because one more day. But I'm kind of busy up through Saturday. But after that, I'm going to do a lot of batch filming and get caught up on things. And I may go shopping for a winter coat, which is neither here nor there as far as you're concerned. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a big deal because I desperately need a new winter coat because I went way too long with this one and it's got holes in it. So, and I feel it when the wind's blowing. So time for a new winter coat. But anyway, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. I was asked about why I never mentioned the bell. When I do my productivity series, which is going to at least be started over the break, I don't know when it'll be published, but I'm going to start filming over the break. One of the things I'm going to mention is avoiding distractions. And getting all those messages and alerts on your screen, that's a distraction. So that's why I never mentioned the bell, even though it would be of more benefit to me, apparently. Lost my place there. Videos like, and what do you think of the website? Do you see potential there? Is that something worth pursuing, or is that something I should just say, too much work and abandon it? Let me know down in the comments. And maybe you like Twinkle Lights. Let me know down in the comments. Maybe you hate them. Let me know down in the comments. And maybe you can comment on one of the pens I showed you tonight. Had quite the plethora. And yes, look forward, now that we're on the holidays, to me doing a video or two special that's not in my regular lineup. So next week's schedule will be all sorts of messed up. I've already got a first impression lined up. But if I film something else kind of fun instead, I may do that instead of the first impression. So you'll just have to wait and see. But look forward to a top 10. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.